Hey everyone, it is Friday, and that of course means we bring back Mike Georgie from the Nexus Group, because one of the questions I will not answer on this channel is, what should I do with an entity? Should I do this? Should I do that? There are too many variables to understand. I don't know your situation, your plan, your future, your past, and I have found the Nexus Group and Mike Georgie to be there to ask those hard questions, because I don't have the time nor the knowledge. So let's welcome Mike back to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I am good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. So I know we prepared a couple of topics today. The first one is, what are 4 different things people need to think about as they're getting ready to make an offer? So where do we go from here?
Absolutely. Well, you know as well as I do that the market's going to be looking pretty enticing to a lot of individuals coming up. And especially for some new individuals that may be embarking for the first time on buying a property, or, you know, they bought a property a couple of years ago and now it's like, okay, let's do another one. Well, we wanted to just remind you about 4 different things you want to consider when you're going to set up an entity. Now, let's assume that you're ready to go into real estate. You're going to put an offer in. You're going to be buying real estate. You're going to be renting it out. So having an entity is a good thing for you. Okay. So before you set up and do your actual offer, 3 to 4 weeks before you put in an offer, it's a good idea to start thinking about setting up an LLC, specifically a limited liability company. The reason why is because depending on the state that you may be looking at, or the timeframes that may take to actually get the structure in place, you want to be about 3 or 4 weeks out to make sure that you get it in time. Secondarily, we want to look at the state that the property's in. So a lot of people ask, and we have a whole video about this, Mike, that I implore people, go look at the old videos. They say, hey, where do I set up my LLC or corporation, specifically LLC for real estate? Do I do it in Nevada? Do I do it in Wyoming? Is Delaware the state? And we tell them the same thing every time. The state in which the property is located is the state in which the LLC or the entity should be set up in. Because if not, you're going to have to foreign qualify, and that takes away all the powers and rights and protection that you're going to receive from that entity. And so number 1 is 3 to 4 weeks out, start thinking about the entity setup. Number 2, take a look at what state that the entity is going to be in. So for example, California, it takes about 24 hours to set up the entity if you're online. If you're going to, Texas, it may take longer. And so we just want to make sure that we're looking at our time frames. Number 3, you definitely want to take a note of the ownership of the property. So if you're going to have investors and they also are going to have ownership of the property, or if you're a husband and wife team, or, depending on how that makeup is, you're going to want to make the ownership of the entity itself, the LLC, mirror the ownership of the property. And the reason why is because if you aren't able to take title of the property directly into the LLC, depending on how your financing is, you're going to need to quitclaim it. And to do that, you're going to need to make sure that the ownership is exactly the same, so you don't trigger any sales tax or due on sale clause lending portions of things. So we definitely want to make sure and that the ownership of the LLC is the same as the properties. So the last one is looking at the future. Number 4, looking into the future. If you're only going to buy one property, you have one partner you're going to do it with. It's going to be the same type of ownership for that property. If you're going to do any more potentially, then you only need that one LLC. But if you're going to be buying multiple properties, or you're going to have multiple partners, you may want to consider having more than one entity structure. And we don't want to overburden you. We want to make sure it's per your comfort level, per potentially if there was a risk or someone sued the entity, that the equity or the assets owned in the LLC are the right level, and that we're not triggering any due on sale clauses or any transfer taxes. And so looking to the future, thinking about how many properties you're going to get in the next year or so is definitely something you want to do to plan out your structure.
And again, folks, this is why when you ask me questions about entities, and I must get seemingly a question a day, something around entities, I simply don't answer them. I typically say, go check out the playlist. I'm really glad that Mike referenced that. There's a whole playlist related to videos that Mike and I have done. Go back. They all range from 4 to like 12 minutes, I think was the longest one we've done, because we make them tight and on topic. Again, this is about 4 different things new investors should consider. It's timing, the state, ownership, and what's planned for the future. So Mike, how should people get a hold of you if they want to have those initial conversations?
They can go to our website, www.nexusgroupllc.us, Again, that's www.nexusgroupllc.us, or they can give us a call, 877-713-8001. Again, that's 877-713-8001. And you can schedule a complimentary consultation. Make sure you mention Mike Zuber.
Excellent. Make sure, again, you mentioned Mike Zuber because they're going to give you a little bit of extra stuff. That's something Mike and I have agreed by putting him on the channel. So take advantage of that. Again, phone number 877-713-8001 or nexusgroupllc.us and just hit book it, I think is the tab or the button or whatever.
You got it.
Mike, thank you very much, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Have a great Friday, everyone.
Yep.